What kind of connection did you have with your parents? Today, let's talk about an anxious avoidant attachment style. So first and foremost, this stems from an emotionally unavailable parent. The baby, the young child, is wondering, why am I not being loved here? We can feel it, we can sense it. So in our formative years, usually birth through age 2 to 3, we form an attachment style based on how we're being raised by our parents. So being physically separated is one thing, and of course the other one being emotionally separated from the child. Maybe they're physically there a lot, but there's no connection. The parent is treating the child like a robot or a thing. Early childhood, and for you parents out there, you know this is all about bonding. The bond is crucial. That's how the baby's going to feel loved and safe in the world. At that point, they don't understand language, they can't speak, so this is an energy, right? We can all feel energy in this way. The young child can sense it in something as subtle as disapproving looks all the time, coming from the person who gave us life, our own mother. And of course, we can throw the father in as well. We need to have a healthy connection with our parents. The child on some level is picking up some rejection. They're not really wanted. There's something wrong with me. That's what they internalize. When in reality, it's about the parents' dysfunction. They may have a lot going on in their life, their adult life they haven't dealt with. They could be emotionally unstable, of course. And now they're raising this little baby. Well, the baby's going to unfortunately pick up on this toxic energy from this parent. So if we're growing up in this type of environment, then we may have anxiety and avoid getting close to people as we get older, because our own parents were heaping on us some anxiety and some avoidance as they were raising us. And of course, as you become an adult, it's going to impact how you have relationships with people, how you socialize, the kind of interactions you have really anywhere, how you trust, do you allow yourself to be vulnerable, do you allow intimacy into your life, what's your communication like, and on and on and on. And it all stems from those first couple years of your life. So somebody may be thinking, oh, that can't really happen. I mean, they have the baby, they're raising the kid. Why would they not show it love? But unfortunately, for millions of kids around the world, they weren't shown love. On some level, the parent held back. Now, intellectually, they may be thinking that they love their child, and in that sense, they do. But if they're always ignoring the child, for example, ignoring the baby as it's crying, and in fact, as that child gets a little older, saying, stop crying. Why are you always acting like you're this little baby? Grow up already, being said to a 2-year-old, can you imagine? Or somehow expecting them to act older than they are. They're only 2 or 3, let's say at this point, and wanting them to behave like an adult. You can figure it out, just go do it on your own. No, they're a little baby, they're a toddler, they're young still, and they need to be taught at this point. They need to be shown that they're loved and cared for, and they need to be provided a healthy attachment. The parent may find ways to get away from the child. Who knows what's going on with the parent, right? It could be anything. Let's just pretend for a moment they have a drinking problem. So they put the baby in their crib or just shove them in their room. Maybe even sometimes lock the door so they can go have a few shots in the kitchen, right? Well, how do you think this little kid is feeling? They're stuck alone in some room by themselves, not really understanding perhaps what's really going on. Where's my mommy? Where's my daddy? And then the parent, let's say, comes back from whatever it was they were doing and then shames the child for having these emotions. The child is expressing their displeasure somehow, hopefully, because that's healthy, but the parent is shutting that down. Now, this could be generational, of course, because maybe the parent wasn't raised with any authentic love from their parents. They were treated like a thing as well. But now it's their responsibility to not pass that on to their children. Otherwise, we have generational trauma here. So then the child is learning at an early age, I better just hold in all my emotion and my feelings, because if I express them, it gets worse. So how's that going to make them feel as they get older in terms of connecting with others, right? They're going to be afraid of this, and rightly so. They're going to be anxious and have avoidance, anxious avoidant attachment style. Because if a young toddler is learning that the very people that I should go to for help, you're little, of course you're going to go to your mommy or daddy, right? If you're learning that you're not going to get any safety there, in fact it becomes worse, then this is your entrance into life, so to speak. This is your foundation. That's a hard foundation to bring into adulthood. So what may happen is this child will grow up and showing independence and how strong they are. That is just a coping mechanism. They may act like I don't need anybody in my life, right? Just with everybody perhaps. Because it's too risky to get close to somebody after you've been raised like this from the get-go. So a child may compensate by always taking care of themselves. They don't really need too many friends at all, don't want to get too close to anybody. And as they get older, I don't really want to fall in love with anybody. And if I try to date, then I'm going to have a lot of anxiety, and they probably will try to avoid it because it's very threatening, and understandably so given how they were raised. So it's not that they can't be around people per se, but they probably are going to have trouble connecting with them in any meaningful way. It's about the connection. So likely they're going to hide the anxiety and the separation, the avoidance that they felt in childhood, because that's too scary to take on when you're young. You need to have a defense mechanism against that. And perhaps act like there's no anxiety because it's countering the real feelings. This is very common in terms of it being a coping mechanism. And then they may have a push-pull kind of relationship with their parents as they get older, because on the one hand, they want their love, right? That's my mother, that's my father. They brought me into this world. I want to get to know them. I want to be closer. But then also at the same time, the feeling of get away from me. I don't trust you. And maybe repressed anger about how dare you raise me this way. And then maybe as the years have gone on, the parent has changed their ways. Maybe the parent has had some therapy and understands, oh my goodness, I can't believe I raised my child this way. And then at that point later in life may try to build a connection, soothe them, love them. The child may reject that. They're too wounded inside. Now they would have to deal with that wound probably with a therapist to begin healing it. But if they don't get professional help, likely that wound will always be there, and they will always have a wall up. They likely may want to continue being seen as independent and not needing any affection or nurturing from anybody as a way to protect themselves from the trauma which occurred in childhood. So this is one of the attachment styles. There's several. Being anxious avoidant is a common attachment style. Are you aware of any impacts of how you were raised by your parents and how it's affected your adult life? Please feel free to leave any thoughts or comments about this in the comment section below. Please subscribe to my mental health YouTube channel if you like these kind of videos. And until next week, this is Brad Shore signing off from Ask a Shrink.